So I just quit my job. Now, before you think this is too crazy or salacious, I resigned from my job. And as I was going through the process, I realized this would make an excellent video. So in this episode, I'm going to show you the 5 biggest mistakes that people make when leaving their cybersecurity job. Coming up. In many situations, they are mistakes that can be avoided, and I want you to avoid them. Now, before we get in, if you want to just look at the time marks below. You can just jump to the 5 mistakes, right? But if you're new here, give me a minute. Let me introduce myself. My name's Jerry Ozier. This is Simply Cyber. It's the YouTube channel designed to help you make and take a cybersecurity career further, faster. And we talk, deep tech stuff and tips and SOC analysts and training. But sometimes we talk about career stuff, resumes, and how to quit your job. So let's get right into our list. Number 1, resigning your job without any grace whatsoever.
You're cool, and you, I'm out.
There's definitely ways that you shouldn't do it. Just ghosting, just stop showing up for work, right? So that's an option. But by doing that, what you're doing is you're leaving that lasting taste of who you are as a professional for that organization, and more importantly for the people, that you would be selfish and you would make those kind of decisions, right? If you're in a toxic situation, this doesn't apply. But if you're not, if you're in a normal situation, resigning with some grace is a really good move. It shows that you care. It's not a personal decision to the company, right? You're trying to make the resignation as least impactful on the people that are going to be staying, on the projects that are continuing to go on, and the work that needs to get done. Resigning with grace would be something along the lines of hey, I've got this other great opportunity, or hey, this isn't working out. You might not even have another job, right? So, hey, this isn't working out, or hey, I have another opportunity. I've given it a lot of consideration. I've decided to take that opportunity. I'd like to work with you on a transition plan. I would like to recommend that my last day would be April 9th. Now, the 2-week resignation period is kind of a standard norm, at least here in the United States, depending on your role. I gave closer to 4 weeks. But just think through, you need to be able to properly hand off your work so it doesn't get disrupted, right? That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to leave them in a good situation. Sure, there's going to be some impact, right? Obviously, but you just try to do that. So resign with grace, communicate it well. I would even suggest having a personal one-on-one conversation with your boss, and then definitely send a formal email. And we'll get to that in a minute. So stay tuned to the end. I actually have bonus material on templates that you can use to help you with this. The second biggest mistake people do, and I get this, you see it in the more junior level roles, is just straight up blindsiding your boss or your organization. So if you are secretly unhappy, if the situation, again, is super toxic, you may not feel comfortable even voicing concerns because you're afraid of termination immediately. But if you have concerns like my workload is too much, or I can't, this person is toxic and I cannot work with them, or, you said that I would get training dollars and it's been a year or 2 years and there's been no training dollars, can we work through that? So trying to, socialize and discuss some of the challenges you're having that may make you unhappy, I feel is a good way to do it. Now, this is a longer play thing, but me personally, some of the challenges that led me to make the decision that I made, I had voiced, a couple years ago, last year, 6 months ago, I had voiced these concerns, and there had been incremental change made, but, kind of the root of the issue persisted, right? So when I wasn't even really looking for a job found me. It was an easier decision, and when I discussed it with my management, certainly those those concerns were brought up as part of my logic and reasoning. So again, that is not required. You can just quit straight out and just be whatever. But if you're interested in kind of maintaining your job or improving your work situation, not being unhappy in your role and feel like you are forced to go find another job, I'd suggest maybe checking out, trying to discuss with management in a constructive way. If you just say, this place sucks, like fix it, that's not constructive, right? But hey, here's a problem. Here's a couple ideas I have for a way to remedy it. What do you think? Let's have a working discussion. I mean, for the most part, management wants basically happy employees because happy employees do work, right? That's what management's supposed to do, ensure that the staff do their job. So anyways, that's the second biggest mistake. The third biggest mistake people make when quitting their job is not mentally preparing for a counter offer. Okay, so you don't always get a counter offer, and a counter offer is basically, hey, I'm going to resign. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. And they say, whoa. Before you resign, what is it going to take to keep you? What's your number? What's the situation? Do you want to work remotely? Do you want an extra 30% salary? Do you want a promotion? Depending on what your role is and what you do and how important you are and a bunch of factors, be prepared for a counteroffer. Now, if you've already got it in your mind that you're leaving, then you should be prepared to say there is nothing. If you could be persuaded, think before you even go into the meeting, what would be a counteroffer? What would be it? Would it be double my salary? Would that be what it would take? Would it be 20% salary? Would it just be having every other Friday off or no longer being asked to work on your days off, right? So some of you may be working on your days off or in the evenings and weekends and stuff like that. So think about what it is that are your pain points that are leading you not to want to work there. And if they are fixable, right? So if you just don't like the culture there, that's not going to be on the table, right? There's no way they can fix that. But if you need more money and that's why you're leaving, right? Because you got bills or you got student loans or whatever, and it's just money. Yeah, I mean, you could just say, hey, I'm going to leave unless you give me more money, but you always want to have, from a risk management perspective, right? You want to have that fallback plan because you don't want to get immediately terminated, right? So be prepared to either know that what your counter offer is or know that you don't want a counter offer, but do not just walk in there and say you're gonna be leaving and then they hit you with a counter offer and you're just dumbfounded. Again, it's all about professional decorum, moral high ground, doing right by other professionals, right? If you're just doing it to jump to get salaries, that's fine. There's no shame in that. But don't try to just go get a job, waste people's time just to leverage the job offer to get a salary bump at your current job. I mean, you can do that. That's one technique you can use, but I personally don't subscribe to it. The fourth biggest mistake that people make when they're getting this job, and I'm glad that we're doing this video because this one's important, is be prepared for immediate termination, right? So in normal business world, you might say, hey, I'm giving 2 weeks notice. Hey, no problem. Like, let's transition, let's hand off stuff. Some situations, maybe you're very, very hooked into very sensitive information or intellectual property. The second you say you're leaving, and they're not going to counter you or anything like that, you become an insider threat. Okay, so if you're not familiar with insider threats, Google it, but you become an insider threat. Some companies will deem that threat too high and they'd rather take the impact of not having a transition and just terminate you immediately. And it's nothing personal, right? Espionage happens even at low grade level where people just take all of their files, all of their templates, all of their PowerPoints, everything that they've been working on, and they put it on a thumb drive and they take it with them because when they go to their next job, they want to be able to, use some of the lessons they've already learned from their previous job, right? It happens. So be prepared for immediate termination. What does this mean? This means, A, if you got like personal photos or files or whatever on your company machine, you better get those off because it's quite possible that they say bye-bye and you don't have access to that system anymore. If you have a cell phone with the company, be prepared to either transfer the number off that to another phone or get your apps off of it, right? If you use multi-factor authentication and you're using something like Google Authenticator, which is single device, you might want to move all of those off, disable multi-factor or switch to something like Authy because if they take your phone right there, you're in trouble, especially if you have that phone number plugged in all over the place for like SMS messaging for two-factor or password resets. They'll send you a phone text message, right? So be prepared. Like you should be thinking, okay, like I'm going to resign on Tuesday. If they took everything from me, how screwed would I be? And then address address the level of screw, right? So then when your how screwed would I be is not screwed, then you're good to go and definitely resign. Just plan as if they are and be prepared for that, right? So that's a huge mistake that could be very, very frustrating and negatively impacting to you personally if you make it, right? The fifth biggest mistake that people make when resigning with their job, and this one is huge, is taking time between the jobs off. Now, in my younger career, I would quit on Friday, start on Monday. I don't switch jobs all that often, but when I was younger, I would, right? So for me, it was all about money, right? It's the second I start working at that next job, I start accruing compensation. My old job's still paying me for a couple weeks, maybe a month. I've got 2 paychecks coming in. I'm living in Fat City, just like, eating good and, living the good life, right? Here's the thing. And this could be person dependent, but right now with COVID and work from home and everything, people are really, really working their butt off. And burnout is a thing. I did an episode on mental health a little while ago. And me personally, I need time in between jobs, right? So the time between jobs, even if it's a week, gives you a chance to mentally disentangle from your previous job, decompress, and allows you to start your new job completely fresh, completely clear-minded, recharged, and ready to kick butt. If you just drop your job and start a new one the next Monday, you run the potential of just bringing that rundown, that energy that led you to go find a new job in the first place into your new job, right? Which isn't going to destroy you, right? But it just starts you off at a disadvantage mentally. When you start that new job, you definitely want to be seen as an asset, and I can't encourage you enough to go in with fresh energy, fresh, clear mind, and you'll definitely be happy and grateful. Even if you take a week and just kind of like relax, chill out. If you like, for me, I'm taking 2 weeks, and I've been wanting to do this Cyber Mentor OSINT course for quite a while. I'm going to do it then. Okay, time for the bonus material. You really should send a formal email, and this makes it like very clear. HR, if you want, you could CC HR on the email, but it's a very clear communication of this is my termination letter. It's signed, it's dated, it's time-stamped, everything. It's the official way to do it, right? I'm going to include a link to a template. I'm going to put it on simplycyber.io on my free resources section over near where the resumes are. So check it out. It's super simple template, right? I'm resigning on this day. Here's my transition plan. Thank you for the opportunity, right? That's basically the gist of it, but you can just copy and paste from this template and use it. You do not need to tell them where you're going. You do not need to tell them why you're leaving. You do not need to tell them anything. The minimum you have to tell them is that you are officially resigning, the date you're resigning, and you don't have to do this, but it's a best practice. Thank them for the opportunity to work there, all right? So hopefully this video helps you prevent making any of these mistakes. Until next time, stay secure.